Hey, I'm a little bit late to the party here on YouTube, but just like I said I was going to, I will be making a million videos of this game, starting with this one right here, my sort of mini review. So let's talk about Blueprints. Blueprints is a heavily RNG-focused roguelite puzzle game with deep strategy, deep secrets, and extremely deep lore. It is probably the most satisfying to unravel puzzle box world I have ever encountered. And games like Tunic, Animal Well, long before that Fez, and even longer before that La Mulana are some of my favorite games of all time. Blueprints now easily joins their ranks. It's incredible. However, against my optimistic nature, this game was always going to get the reception that it got. It's mostly positive now, or very positive on Steam. However, there are some huge criticisms against it, and they're all valid. It was always going to get these very, very strong mixed opinions because it itself is mixed. It mixes multiple disparate gameplay mechanics and genres together in a way that has never really been done before. However, I happen to be one of the maybe few people which this game works perfectly for in every way. The RNG does not bother me. I love it. That makes it addictive, and I think it's brilliant game design to fill a game with secrets and then split all of them into pieces everywhere, scatter them around the world, requiring the perfect storm of RNG to acquire all of them and solve the big picture. I love when games make things difficult for me, because that difficulty, that challenge of piecing everything together, that is exactly where all of my dopamine release comes from. So for me, Blueprints works absolutely perfectly. There's nothing I don't like about it. Well, that's not entirely true. There are a few little things we'll talk about later. So this video right now, by the way, all this gameplay is going to be basically surface level gameplay. I might hint at a couple things here and there to like show you, yeah, it does go a little bit deeper, but I don't want to spoil anything in this video. But in other videos, I got a bunch more on the way. Those are going to get very, I'm going to spoil everything. Anyway, the game came out 15 days ago now, over 2 weeks ago, and this is my first video on it. Because I've been playing it every day, streaming it every day. In fact, I haven't streamed anything else since this game came out. That's because it is one of the most addictive games I have ever played in my life. And for people like me, where that feeling of discovery comes first and foremost in your list of why you enjoy video games, that seems to be the consensus. This game is amazing and very addictive. But again, not everyone likes this game. We're going to focus on 3 different types of criticisms. We got people who think the game is boring. We got people who are maybe gigantic puzzle game fans but hate RNG. And then there are people who can deal with the RNG but played it for a few hours and don't think the game is very complex. Or like, I saw like a math puzzle here, saw a logic puzzle over there, but everything seems pretty simple. But oh no, this game is not simple. I actually mentioned this in my first Blueprints video pre-release, and I felt the same exact way when I first played the demo. While I thought it was cool, I do really very much enjoy the moment-to-moment gameplay, and we'll get into that. Like, the RNG for me is no problem at all. That's what makes the game so addictive to me. But yeah, I enjoyed the gameplay, but I did not understand like why it was so hotly recommended, whatever, to me. This is non-scripted, by the way, so if I ramble, I gotta edit this out a little bit. Yeah, so I played it for a few hours, 3, maybe even 4 hours on that stream, and I liked the gameplay, but I was wondering, I'm like, is there gonna be anything deeper? Are there gonna be deep secrets around? And yes, there are. Everywhere. Not only does this game go deeper and deeper and deeper into secrets and puzzles and secret puzzles, but the lore and the backstory of this world gets incredibly deep and incredibly rich. This game has not been fully cracked yet, by the way. So it's not, unfortunately, you know, like Animal Well was solved in 5-6 days. This is not one of those, because even though a lot of the game has been cracked open, the way that this game works, there's like so many things we see everywhere that have to be something, but we just don't know how to access them yet, or don't know how to solve certain things, or what their purpose is. And as an example, real quick, I'm going to just say hats. All right. So I guess we just naturally transitioned over to talking about people who think the game is too simple. If that's your criticism, then you really have not played the game enough. Tunic, Animalwell, Noita, Daniel Mullen's games, etc. These games are my favorite games on the planet. And I think that Blueprints actually is more complex. By the end, or like towards the final third of the game, we'll say, so far the final third of the game, you will feel like an actual detective piecing clues together. To illustrate that, here is my page of notes that I create on stream using a program called PureRef. I wanted to give a shout out to them because this program has been a lifesaver. I've been using it to map games, like 2D games, but also it's been amazing for Blueprints. I'll link that down below. So Blueprints is incredibly complex, but it does require several hours or however long it takes for you to figure out or start seeing that deeper layer, the bigger picture. That's how long you need to put into it before you start realizing that it's not just a simple surface level type of game. And valid criticism, you might be incredibly busy. You might not have a lot of time to put into video games. Maybe you have kids, a family, etc. I mean, we all have busy lives, but this game does demand a lot of patience and a lot of time. You could just play casually over time. However, this is one criticism that I also share. Blueprints has no way for you to save a game in the middle of a run. You can speedrun through a day is a run in this game, in 5 minutes, but typically the average run is about an hour, if not more. My longest run was like 3 hours because I was doing a lot of crazy stuff. And there is no way, it doesn't matter how complex a puzzle you're involved in trying to solve. If you suddenly get busy and you need to go, or it just gets really late and you're like, oh my god, I gotta go to bed, I got work in the morning, you cannot save your game. You're gonna have to say goodbye to that run and that progress, or you're gonna have to keep your computer on, keep the game on overnight or something, and all through the next day. As of this moment, the recording of this video and the publication of this video, there is no way to save your game in the middle of a run. And that, I don't particularly need that because of my very special case of like being a streamer and a video creator and blah blah blah. It doesn't matter to me, but I think for almost anyone else who is not in my position, that is kind of a big deal. Anyway, moving on to the next criticism, people who think the game is boring. Valid criticism. If you don't get much out of discovery, this game is first and foremost about discovery. It is not a walking simulator though. It is a little slow, sure. It is primarily about puzzles and detective work, piecing together clues scattered everywhere, piecing all those together to discover a puzzle that you didn't even know was right in front of you, and then, oh, now I gotta solve this thing somehow. So if you don't get anything from discovery and you crave action in games, totally valid. You know, I'm not trying to criticize people or taste. I'm just trying to address the criticisms, the major criticisms. You know, this is a slow-paced, combat-free, strategic deck-building puzzle roguelite. If that doesn't immediately sound interesting to you, then it's not gonna magically suddenly become interesting. And then, let's talk about huge puzzle game fans who absolutely detest RNG. Again, totally valid. This game is filled with puzzles, but this game is also, even more so, filled with RNG. RNG that will keep you from being able to solve things repeatedly, over and over. So if you're not a fan of roguelites and run-based games, again, Blueprints might not be for you, because the RNG is forefront. For those of us who enjoy games kind of pushing us in the mud, calling us names, pulling our hair, etc., kicking us in the shins repeatedly right after we start, this game's not that bad. It's not Noita. It's not Noita levels of, oh, you just died immediately. But you're gonna do a run and you're gonna discover a puzzle and you're gonna want to solve that puzzle, but then maybe right before you're able to, you need one more room, one more item, and then RNG is gonna say, nope, go try to do that next time. And this brings up something very important. If you just hate RNG, full stop, drop the mic like that, okay, you probably won't like Blueprints. However, if you don't like it because you feel punished by the RNG in it, for a normal playthrough, you should, after the first few hours anyway, the first few hours, you're just sinking into it and discovering maybe a little taste of what this game has to offer. It might feel a little bit more punishing because you're gonna not have as many strings to pull on. So if you only have one puzzle and you're like, okay, I need to solve this, and then the game doesn't let you, sure, it's gonna feel frustrating, for sure. But all throughout this game, keep note of everything. It's basically like a bowl of ramen noodles that's composed of just one gigantic noodle. That noodle connects to, it's just one noodle, so it's all connected. All of the puzzles, all of the clues, all of the riddles, the way that one thing leads to another, to another, to another, ad infinitum, is one of the most impressive achievements of game design that I've witnessed. If you're worried about the RNG, try to remember that. There are puzzles, there are clues everywhere. As you play through this game, do not hyperfixate on one thing. Keep a list. Please, please keep a lot of notes. You're gonna need them. Do not hyperfixate on one thing. You should, in every run you go on, after the beginning of the game at least, you should have a long list of leads that you can check on. And if one doesn't fall into place correctly because of the RNG, you should have a bunch more that you can check on. So in every run, you make at least a little bit of progress on one of these things. Also, the RNG and runs ending like this, that's precisely why this game is as addictive to me as it is. The end of a run is not you being punished. The end of a run is your opportunity to do another run, potentially heading in a completely different direction that you weren't able to go in the previous run. Maybe you weren't able to solve a puzzle in that previous run because you were missing a very specific room that had a very specific drafting requirement, and you just couldn't fit it into your strategy in that run. Well, in this next run, you can start from the beginning with that strategy in mind and potentially get that room. And then RNG might throw another wrench into the mix during that run that allows you to do something else completely different that you never even knew existed until now. Like I've said multiple times in this video already, this game is very complex. It is filled to the brim with content. There is so much bubbling beneath the surface here that I'm not even beginning to touch on in this video, that I can't even begin to show even a little bit of it. Again, this footage is just surface level content. There is a lot more, but therein lies another issue with this game. Because of the RNG and because of the run-based structure and the insane complexity of it all, this game is very difficult to talk about without inadvertently spoiling something. I've been trying very carefully to not spoil anything in this video, but I may have spoiled a dozen different things without even realizing it. Because just talking about this game, like, oh, what are you up to? There's no one route through this game. It's a roguelite about discovery. Everyone is going to discover things at different rates and in entirely different ways. It's crazy. So again, for me, I love this game. In my opinion, I'm gonna say all these cliched words and phrases. Blueprints is a masterpiece, 100%. A masterpiece of game design. It may not be to your taste, however, but that does not mean it is not a masterpiece. It surely is. It is one of my favorite games of all time. However, my other gripes with it, I'm gonna list real quick. Optimization. For such a seemingly simple looking game, graphically, it's got a nice but very simple graphical style. You would think that would run absolutely perfectly, but there is some odd frame rate dippage. Noticeable during normal gameplay, but especially noticeable during the few cutscenes that there are. So I would definitely love to see an optimization patch. And then another small gripe I have is that you can skip the intro to the game, and then you can skip one or two other short cinematic scenes, but there are a lot of other short cinematic animations that you cannot skip. If you've played the game, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And that pretty much covers all of my gripes. For me and what I like in a video game, this game covers all the bases, and it feels amazing to play over and over again. So I will be doing that. So I will be making a lot of videos about this game, a lot of spoilery videos, guides, etc. But then after all those spoilery videos and guides and such that I plan on doing still even this late into the game, you know, there's gonna be this enormous lore breakdown video just collecting all of the lore in the entire game, all of the characters, spelling everything out, the history of this world, all of the cultures, all of the NPCs who are mentioned throughout, etc., etc. And I cannot wait to get that video out, but it's going to be a little while. Anyway, that's about it for now. Thank you very much for watching. If you've watched this far and you enjoy videos like this and you enjoy my content, consider giving the video a like. It helps, you know the drill. If you want to subscribe, go ahead and subscribe. It's free, blah, blah, blah. I stream on Twitch. I stream this game on Twitch a lot, along with Noita and Animal Well and Rainworld. That's twitch.tv/FURYFORGED. And I want to thank all of my Patreon supporters and channel members for helping me keep doing what I do. Thank you very much, guys. And thank you all for watching once again. Appreciate you. Have a great day. Maybe I'll see you soon. Bye.